Did you know that there was once an airline so powerful, so famous, and so glamorous that it was considered the unofficial airline of the United States? An airline that pioneered international travel, that worked with the government on secret missions, and that was a symbol of the American dream itself. It was called Pan Am, and today it is gone. How? How does a company that was a global icon, a household name, an empire that ruled the skies, simply vanish? The story you are about to hear is not just about a failed business. It's a story of incredible ambition, of dizzying heights, and of a series of catastrophic blows that brought a giant crashing down to earth. This is the autopsy of Pan American World Airways. Our story begins with one man's massive ambition. His name was Juan Trippe. In the 1920s, the world of aviation was brand new. It was a chaotic and dangerous frontier. But Trippe, a young and visionary entrepreneur, saw the future. He dreamed of an airline that would connect America to the rest of the world. In 1927, he founded Pan American World Airways. Their first flight was a tiny mail plane that flew from Key West, Florida to Havana, Cuba. It was a humble beginning. But Trippe had a secret weapon, his powerful political connections. He secured exclusive government contracts to be the sole carrier of U.S. mail to Latin America. This meant two things. He had a guaranteed source of income, and he had no competition. With this advantage, Pan Am grew at a breathtaking speed. Trippe was a pioneer. He pushed for bigger, faster, and more luxurious planes. He was the first American airline to use a fleet of massive seaplanes, called Clippers, to cross the vast Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. A flight on a Pan Am Clipper in the 1930s was not just a trip. It was a five-star hotel experience in the sky, with sleeping berths, fine dining, and lounges. Pan Am was selling not just travel, but glamour and adventure. After World War II, Pan Am became a symbol of American power and prestige. It was, for all intents and purposes, the nation's flag carrier. If the president traveled, he often flew Pan Am. The airline worked closely with the U.S. military and the CIA on secret missions. The iconic blue globe logo on the tail of their planes was a familiar sight in every major city in the world. In the 1960s, at the peak of their power, Juan Trippe made his biggest and boldest gamble. He went to Boeing and asked them to build the plane that was more than twice the size of any existing jetliner. He envisioned a future of mass international travel. The result was the legendary Boeing 747, the jumbo jet. Pan Am was the first airline to buy it, ordering 25 of them. It was a move that would define the golden age of air travel. It was also a move that would plant the seeds of their destruction. The Pan Am experience in the 1970s was the absolute pinnacle of luxury. To fly Pan Am was to be a movie star. The flight attendants were glamorous. The service was impeccable. They were the airline of the rich and famous. They were on top of the world. So, what went wrong? How did this untouchable empire collapse? The first problem was a deep psychological flaw in the company's DNA. Because they had grown up as a protected monopoly with exclusive international routes, they never learned how to truly compete. They were a proud, arrogant giant that had never been in a real fight. And in 1978, the U.S. government changed the rules of the game. The Airline Deregulation Act was passed. Suddenly, any airline could fly anywhere they wanted for any price they wanted. The world that Pan Am had dominated was gone. A swarm of new, hungry, low-cost competitors entered the market. These new airlines were lean and mean. They had lower labor costs and more efficient planes. Pan Am, with its massive gas-guzzling 747s and its expensive, unionized workforce, was suddenly a slow, lumbering dinosaur in a world of fast-moving mammals. Their profits began to shrink. The giant was wounded. Then came the external blows, a series of catastrophic events that hit the company like a hurricane. First, the 1973 oil crisis caused the price of jet fuel to skyrocket. Those beautiful 747s were now incredibly expensive to fly. Then, in 1977, a horrific runway collision between a Pan Am 747 and another jet in the Canary Islands resulted in the deadliest accident in aviation history. The tragedy tarnished their reputation for safety. But the company made its own fatal mistakes. In 1980, in a desperate attempt to get domestic routes inside the United States, Pan Am bought National Airlines. It was a terrible decision. The two companies had completely different cultures and different fleets of planes. The merger was a financial and logistical nightmare that cost Pan Am a fortune. They were now a company in a state of crisis. To survive, they began to sell off their most valuable assets. Think about this. This is like a man selling his vital organs to pay his rent. In 1985, in a shocking move, Pan Am sold its entire network of profitable Pacific routes to their rival United Airlines. They sold their crown jewels, the very routes that had been pioneered by their legendary Clipper planes. They got a quick injection of cash, but they had sold a piece of their soul. Despite these struggles, the brand was still a global icon, but then came the final, fatal blow, the one from which they would never recover. On December 21, 1988, Pan Am Flight 103 was flying from London to New York. As it flew over the small town of Lockerbie, Scotland, a bomb that had been hidden in a suitcase exploded in the sky. The plane disintegrated. All 259 people on board and 11 people on the ground were killed. The Lockerbie bombing was more than just a tragedy. It was a death sentence for Pan Am. The investigation revealed that the airline's security procedures had been tragically lax. The public was terrified. The idea that a bomb could be smuggled onto the flagship airline of the United States was unthinkable. People became afraid to fly Pan Am. The trust that had been built over 60 years was shattered in a single fiery moment. Bookings plummeted. The company was now bleeding cash at an alarming rate. The final years were a desperate struggle for survival. The first Gulf War in 1990 caused fuel prices to spike again. The company was out of money and out of options. They tried to arrange a merger with another airline, but the deal fell through. They sold off their last remaining valuable assets, their profitable routes to London. It wasn't enough. On December 4, 1991, Pan American World Airways, the airline that had taught the world how to fly, that had been a symbol of American pride and power for over 60 years, shut down its operations forever. The iconic blue globe was grounded for good. The story of Pan Am is a powerful and tragic lesson. It teaches us that no company, no matter how big, powerful, or famous, is too big to fail. It shows us that success can breed an arrogance that makes you blind to a changing world. Pan Am was a pioneer of a bygone era, a relic of a regulated world. When the rules of the game changed, they didn't know how to adapt. They were a proud giant that had forgotten how to fight. And it's a brutal reminder that a company's reputation, which can take a lifetime to build, can be destroyed in a single tragic moment. The fall of Pan Am was not caused by one single event, but by a perfect storm of deregulation, bad decisions, and a final catastrophic act of terror. It's a story of a fallen empire, a ghost that now haunts the history of aviation, a silent warning from the sky.